Like most of you guys, I play fantasy football when the NFL season comes back around, and if you're paying attention to all the hot names this fall, no rookie is hyped up more than former LSU star and current Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards Helaire. Today we'll talk about why Edwards Helaire is a new weapon for Mahomes, his time at LSU, and his whole football story. But first, if you are new to the channel, I make videos all about football, and I really need your help to reach 11,000 subscribers by the end of September. So please take a quick moment and do that for me if you have not already. Let me know who I should do next down in the comments section, and also be sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss another upload. Now let's get started with the rise of Clyde Edwards Helaire. I have already made videos about Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Joe Burrow, so this will be my fourth time writing about that 2019 LSU squad, but let's go ahead and go for it. Like a lot of running backs I have covered lately, Clyde was born and raised in the bayou of Louisiana, and grew up with a love for the game of football. Unfortunately, he would have a very tough break as a child, as his father disappeared from his life at an early age. He was sentenced to 30 years of prison for possession of cocaine, and that would definitely have a major effect on any child. His mom would meet another man though, and that guy quickly became a father figure to him. He taught Clyde how to become a better person, how to do things like fish, and most importantly, taught him how to play football. By the time he was 5, he had begun to love the game, and him and a friend would always play on the school playground. That friend was named Darius, more specifically Darius Geis. Darius was 2 years older, but this was the beginning of the two's journey, which had always seemed to match up to each other's. Clyde would get better and better at football, but he was always told that he was too small and he would never actually make it. His parents thought differently though. By the time he got to Catholic high school, Darius Geis had become a high school football superstar, and many asked who was going to be the next man up at running back for the team. Not only did he get to become the first freshman to start at running back in 29 years, but he also got his dad back. After good behavior, his father was released from prison, and he could now support his son. His last name became Edwards Helaire to honor both his real father and the man who helped shape him into who he was today. Believe it or not, the two dads got along very well, and they even sat next to each other at all of Clyde's high school football games. Clyde would go on to become a star for the team, but his size was seriously hurting his recruiting profile. Every major recruiting site had him as a 3-star recruit at first, but later some would list him as a low 4-star guy. Despite other offers, Clyde Edwards Helaire committed to play for Les Miles and the LSU Tigers. According to 24/7 Sports, CEH was a high 3-star recruit, the number 5 all-purpose back, and the 378th best player in the class of 2017. There was a fire lit inside of his 5'8" frame, and he was ready to let it out in Baton Rouge. Things started out a little bit rocky for him as Les Miles was fired by LSU, and Ed Orgeron was set to take over the head coaching duties. Coach O saw a flash of Maurice Jones-Drew in Clyde, and he was excited to see what he could do in the offense. Going into 2017, the Tigers returned senior quarterback Danny Etling, and he would be stuck behind running backs Darius Geis and Nick Brossette. As a freshman, Clyde would not see the field that much as he only had 9 carries for 31 yards, but he was used on special teams a lot, an area where he would show his true potential. The Tigers would end up going 9-3 on the year, with their premier win coming over number 10 Auburn. They would play and lose in the Citrus Bowl against number 14 Notre Dame to finish the season. With Geis leaving for the NFL, he was going to get more snaps and a larger role in 2018. Going into 2018, the Tigers had just gained a grad transfer at quarterback by the name of Joe Burrow, and senior Nick Brossette was set to be the starting running back. He would play on their win over number 8 Miami before he would score his first career touchdown against Southeastern Louisiana in Week 2. He would score a touchdown in their thrilling win over number 7 Auburn, then have his first career 100-plus yard day with 136 yards and 2 touchdowns against Louisiana Tech. The Tigers were undefeated until a home loss against Florida, and Edwards Helaire continued to be a solid second option at running back. He would go for 145 yards in their blowout win over number 2 Georgia, and he had shown fans some flash of what he could do in the spotlight. He would score touchdowns against Rice and Arkansas, but he was a complete non-factor in their 7-overtime loss to Texas A&M. LSU would go 9-3, and they were selected to play UCF in the Fiesta Bowl. The Tigers would win the game, but he was a non-factor once again. His time would come though. As a sophomore, Edwards Helaire became one of the better kick returners in the country, and he was also a solid backup running back. He carried the ball 146 times for 658 yards and 7 touchdowns. Going into 2019, LSU was expected to compete for the SEC West crown, but no one expected them to do what they did. Joe Burrow was back at quarterback, and they had a terrific trio of receivers that included Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Terrace Marshall Jr. At running back, it was going to come down to junior Clyde Edwards Helaire and 5-star true freshman John Emery Jr. He started out the season slow, as he only went for 45 yards against Georgia Southern, 87 versus number 9 Texas, and 50 against Northwestern State. But he did score 4 combined touchdowns in those 3 games. He went for 106 yards and a touchdown against Vanderbilt, and then he started to take off. He rushed for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns in their huge win over number 7 Florida. He went for 136 yards and a touchdown against number 9 Auburn and helped them win what would become the closest game of the year for them. He went for 103 yards and 3 touchdowns, plus 77 receiving yards and a touchdown against number 3 Alabama. This would be the best game of his college career, and the night he was finally put on the map. The following week, he would go for 172 yards and a touchdown in their blowout win over Ole Miss. He would establish a new career high 188 yards and 3 touchdowns against Arkansas, and he had now blossomed into a college football star. In his final home game, he would go for 87 yards and a touchdown in a revenge win over Texas A&M. The LSU Tigers were by far the best team in college football in 2019, and Joe Burrow was the obvious choice for the Heisman Trophy. Justin Jefferson had set new SEC records, and Jamar Chase would win the Biletnikoff Award for the country's best wideout. The Tigers were headed to the SEC Championship game against number 4 Georgia, and this was almost like a college football playoff matchup. Edwards Helaire was most likely resting, as he didn't really do anything special in that game, and Burrow and the Tigers cruised to a victory. Sadly, he would injure his hamstring in practice, and would only rush the ball 2 times in their Peach Bowl victory over number 4 Oklahoma. In the national title game, he would show a flash of normalcy, as he would carry the ball 16 times for 110 yards. LSU would defeat the Clemson Tigers, and they were officially the national champions. They had finished their perfect season, and Edwards Helaire had become a star. As a junior, Clyde literally did a little bit of everything. He rushed the ball 215 times for 1,414 yards and 16 touchdowns, while also catching 55 passes for 453 yards and a touchdown, and he also contributed on special teams. He was the ultimate weapon for LSU, and he was a first-team All-SEC selection because of his efforts. Despite guys such as Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, and DeAndre Swift, scouts saw a ton of potential in Clyde Edwards Helaire, and he was supposed to be right there with those guys. The defending national champions in the NFL, the Chiefs, selected the first running back in the draft. Praised for his ability to do a little bit of everything, Clyde looks like the kind of guy who could be the next weapon for Patrick Mahomes, and he is by far the most hyped up fantasy football rookie. With Damian Williams electing to sit out, Clyde will be the starter from day one, and he is already looked at as one of the best NFL running backs in the NFL. Personally, I think he has potential, but they're placing way too high of expectations on the rookie, and the kid hasn't even stepped foot on the field yet. I do hope he lives up to the hype though and becomes a star, because the dude deserves it. What do you guys think of Clyde Edwards Helaire? Will he be a future star, or will he be a bust? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section, and if you're a Chiefs fan, I'm really curious to see what you guys think. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash that like button to help both the video and the channel grow. If you are new, be sure to subscribe and help me reach 11,000 subscribers by the end of September. If you are still here, check out my video about the rise of DeAndre Swift and all my other NFL player videos. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, but until next time, peace.